A very good evening and a warm welcome to our first edition of UBC News tonight on this 15th day of June 2023. I'm Loreen Masika Kazimoto. Now we start off this news bulletin with our first headlining story. Now of the 52.7 trillion shillings budget appropriated for the next financial year, 17 trillion is meant for clearance of debts. This underscores the need to handle well the private sector to promote industrialization and reduce on borrowing. Addressing Ugandans during the 2023-2024 budget reading, President Yoweri Museveni challenged Ugandans to embrace import substitution and export promotion to uphold economic recovery, expansion and diversification. We have more.
Borrowing less or not borrowing at all have been some of the recommendations by the head of state as the 2023-2024 financial year budget was presented. This is because 17 out of the 52 trillion shillings budget is earmarked for repayment of debts.
Many of these debts were being pushed by the neo-colonial public servants until recently, when I put down my foot and insisted on approving every loan. That's why you hear that these loans take time now to be approved, because I insisted I must approve of every loan, external loan. Because all this money was not worth borrowing. If you audit it, it was not borrowed for a good purpose.
To this effect, President Yoweri Museveni wants empowerment of the private sector to support industrialization.
We shall learn from the mistakes of the past and perform better. Now, what I want the NRM cadres to understand is that in order to do the industrialization I talked about, we don't have to use government money. The government money has already been used on the basics, infrastructure, security, and so on. The strategy is to handle well the private sector.
In doing so, recovery, expansion, and diversification of the economy will be guaranteed. This will be in consolidation of what has so far been achieved since 1986.
Apparently, the import substitution value of these industrial products is about US dollars 3.6 billion. I didn't know that these small factories of Mitayimbwa, steel bars, soap, all these our little factories, that they are saving us a figure of $3.6 billion, which we would have to look for if we are still importing them. But they are also apparently bringing into the country as export earnings US dollars 1.6 billion.
Value addition for import substitution and export promotion has also been singled out as a driver for economic progress. Maize, fish, bananas and milk, among other products, are a possible game changer for this cause.
We have been importing leather from outside. You can imagine, Amaliba, skins and hides. Until recently, when I built that leather factory in Kaumu, our people were importing leather from China and from India. Now, this is where, and I was hearing all of you making speeches there, but I am begging you, all the NRM cadres, this is where history demands collective and cohesive action.
Citing the example of Richard Nyakana, a 1-acre model farmer from Ruengaju in Fort Portal, Museveni says Ugandans can do better.
Nyakana now employs 15 people on this 1.25 acre farm. Some time ago, I pointed out that if 7 million 1 acre farmers created a mere 10 jobs each, not Nyakana's 15, would create 70 million jobs, more than the population of Uganda. And if you want to know that this is possible, you should find out how many Africans came from other countries and came here. Banyarwanda, Burundi, people from South Sudan, from Tanzania. They came because of the few economic activities which were going on during the colonial times. Coffee, cotton, kajo, sugarcane. That's how they came. They came because the internal labor was not enough.
The president also seized the moment to talk about the warm and comforting messages from the public regarding his health condition.
Praying and signing the board here near the gate, and all the others who have been wishing me good luck. I appreciate really. It's good to know that I am not as bad as some people try to make me, and that there are Ugandans who appreciate.
The 2023-2024 national budget will be executed under the theme Full Monetization of Uganda's Economy through Commercial Agriculture, Industrialization, Expanding and Broadening Services, Digital Transformation, and Market Access. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Tonight, we present an insightful geographical story that unravels the national budget financial year 2023-2024 allocations, visually depicting the government's strategic plans for the upcoming year. We explore the major funding allocations, shedding light on key sectors such as infrastructure, education, healthcare, sustainability, and innovation.
Some of the highlight allocations in various programs are as follows. Under boosting household incomes and micro enterprises, the parish development model has been allocated 1.1 trillion shillings. 100 billion shillings has been allocated to the Emyoga initiative. 60 billion has been allocated for skilling the youth in the next financial year. Under commercializing agriculture, 2.2 trillion shillings has been allocated for food security. Under supporting private sector growth, 2.4 trillion has been allocated, consisting of 209.3 billion provided through the Invite project by World Bank for SMEs in the manufacturing and export sector. 249 billion for the promotion of tourism, among others. Under human capital development, interventions that build human capital have been allocated 9.6 trillion shillings, of which government and World Bank are implementing the 1.8 trillion Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer Program to construct health center 3s and 4s, seed secondary schools and micro-scale irrigation facilities in local governments. However, 22.6 billion has been allocated to clear outstanding areas for medical interns and senior house officers for the financial year ending June 2023. Under enhancing infrastructure stock and quality, an allocation of 4.5 trillion representing 13% of the total budget has been budgeted for road maintenance and construction, railway development and rehabilitation, water and air transport development, of which 535 billion has been provided for the construction of the Malaba-Kampala standard gauge railway. 176 billion has been allocated for road grading, maram and compacting. 2.25 trillion to address flooding, traffic congestion, poor road infrastructure, unsignalized junctions, and unemployment in the Greater Kampala metropolitan area, covering Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono and Mpigi districts and their municipalities. The World Bank and government will be implementing the 1.3 trillion shillings Municipal Infrastructure Development Program, USMID. 1.3 trillion shillings has been allocated for electricity interventions. 192 billion has been provided to accelerate digital transformation. Under expediting strategic initiatives, 447 billion has been allocated to fast-track the development of petroleum resources. 257 billion has been allocated to support science, innovation and technology development. 54.3 billion has been provided for the development of minerals. Under maintaining security, good governance and rule of law, security, governance, the legislature and the administration of justice have been allocated 9.1 trillion shillings. Under the fiscal strategy for financial year 2023-24 and the medium term, 200 billion shillings has been allocated to settle domestic areas. Wadulo Mark Arnold, UBC News in Kampala.
UBC News Tonight. Now, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development has stated that the budget for financial year 2023-2024 is dedicated to Ugandans still trapped outside the money economy. Minister Matia Kasaija, while presenting the 52.7 trillion shillings budget to Parliament, says 1.1 trillion budget has been budgeted for each parish next financial year under the parish development model.
The Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kasaija, has officially presented the 52.7 trillion shillings budget for financial year 2023-2024. Before his budget speech, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, decried low funding for local government hindering service delivery.
The capacity of the local authorization to raise the local revenues remains a dismay. This has impeded the ability to fund a number of priority areas. So we need to get more areas where we can be able to get funds.
Minister Matia Kasaija gave a background on how government has enhanced the export base of the country through provision of long-term affordable capital investment in transport infrastructure and energy, including building of industrial parks. By maintaining the stand of achieving a 6% economic growth in the next financial year, government dedicated the national budget to Ugandans trapped outside the money economy through its interventions, including PDM, Emyoga, and skilling the youth.
In order to grow local enterprises, 19 skilling centers have been established across the country under the Presidential Industrial Hubs Initiative. So far, 28,750 trainees have successfully completed training in skills programs, and 6,110 are undergoing training in various fields.
So far, 590 billion shillings has been disbursed under parish development model, with a balance of 1 trillion shillings to be cleared by end of this year. Government intends to give out 1.1 trillion for parish development model in the next financial year.
The Emyoga initiative will further boost household incomes and micro enterprises at parish and sub-county levels by directly funding parish and sub-county enterprise groups.
But some opinion leaders seek for gender sensitivity while pushing for this cause.
That when they looked at the areas they cut, the areas that have been cut mainly affect women, but would like to make sure that at the time of the parish development model releases, the 30% go to women. If the parish has got 10 million, 30% of that 10 million must go to women, and we would like to see the physical data of these women, and we would want to follow up on terms of implementation.
Amos Lugolobi, the Minister of State for Planning, says government stands to promote value addition in order to achieve the budget objectives.
Make sure that there's regional balancing, that the entire population, moves together in terms of economic and social transformation, to make sure that the disabled people, the women, the children, none of those is left behind.
The government also intends to reduce expenditure in lower priority areas in a move among the areas of domestic revenue mobilization.
That's why we are looking at infrastructure development. Infrastructure development, we mean the roads. When we talk about each district getting 1 billion, and even new districts that had no road units being addressed, that's a critical point. Because if you're enhancing productivity, the off-taking must be reasonably cheap to the extent that the cost of delivering these goods into the market shouldn't be so high.
In the digital transformation drive, the government is to secure 192 billion shillings to accelerate the digital industry, including installing Wi-Fi to 802 locations like hospitals, schools, markets, among others. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Kutabinji, UBC News.
Experts have appreciated the 2023-2024 budget, saying that it is one of the best ever made. A research fellow with the Economic Policy Research Center, Koti Paul Lakuma, says even the Parish Development Model Initiative is good because it is going to bring those who have been excluded from the money economy. We have more in this report.
Development Matia Kasaija has presented the budget for financial year 2023-24 of 52.7 trillion shillings. The objective of the budget strategy is to restore the economy to the medium-term growth of 6 to 7% per annum and improve competitiveness of the economy. In the medium term, the budget is meant to increase wealth of households and eliminating poverty, particularly using the parish development model and small enterprises economic recovery programs for socio-economic transformation. Budget experts say this objective is achievable if the implementation is enforced.
About 5 trillion has been removed from the previous budget. The previous budget domestic financing was 5.4 trillion, but this year they have kept it at 300 billion. On paper, maybe, I don't know, when maybe they will have some shortfalls and run to the central bank, but on the worth more, 5 trillion more of credit available to the private sector. That means more value, more technology acquisition, expansion of business activities, more jobs, and of course all this translates into, at the end of the day, translates into growth and even more taxes.
However, according to some of the experts, the budget is running in deficit on the onset. Government anticipates to collect 29 trillion shillings balance of close to 39 trillion, and next option is borrowing.
Because when you look at the total budget, despite collecting 29 trillion, what we are anticipating to collect, close to 20 is going to be repayment of debt, servicing debt, which means that you are left with close to around 10 trillion to use for both current expenditure and non-current.
Budget itself is not fully financed. 27 trillion is going into debt servicing. It means that we have 25 trillion that we have to be allocated to the social sectors or any the development plan. Those are looking at human capital development, looking at infrastructure.
Experts appreciate the 2 trillion shillings allocated to government programs like Emyoga and parish development model, which will go a long way to bring people excluded from the money economy
into the monetary economy. However, I feel it could learn, it's not too late, it could learn from the past initiatives on the challenges the past initiatives such as in Tandikwa, the challenges it faced. It's not too late, that can also be done. We just need to review some of the past programs and so that we don't repeat the same mistake in this one. Otherwise,
together the money for Emyoga, then the money for PDM, and then the money which is going for Microfinance Development Center, which is still focusing on the small businesses, which is about 400 billion. We are seeing close to 2 trillion, which is being targeted for the ordinary people in terms of the small businesses, forming circles and groups. So I think it will go a long way.
And that explains the reason as to why if you realize the president has paid so much attention to the parish development model, because they believe that through the PDM, they're going to be able to ensure that you own the activity. Unlike before, where through Operation Wealth Creation, they would give you a goat or a cow, it reproduces, and you also give someone else. Here, they give you the money, you do what you do best. And in a way, you are able to get into the monetary space.
Human capital development, which looks at the ordinary citizens, the children, it is 9.5 trillion that we are going to have, and we encourage people to participate in it. But at the same time, we've seen allocations to infrastructure, roads, which are aimed at boosting accessibility to markets. Because as you're getting money through parish development model, that you're going to engage in productive activities.
They, however, advised to strengthen issues of public finance management, especially reducing corruption in the procurement system.
Issues of public finance management. We need to reduce corruption in the procurement system, in the spending of this money, and we are also advocating for e-procurement so that we can reduce, even when it comes to PDM. How can we reduce the people handling money, especially the people giving money to the groups?
Like citizens, if people are arrested, how do we save the money or regain the money that has been misappropriated? So that is when there's political will. We need to see political will in fighting corruption. But we
need to ensure that we are able to manage our fiscal policy. That is the spending and the revenue. Whatever comes in, let us ensure that we prioritize the spending, we put it to the right use. And when we borrow, we've got to ensure that as we don't use borrowing that is short-term to develop long-term projects.
Emphasis is being put on discipline and transparency in implementation. I'm Nafka Farida and Sana Anet in Kampala.
Business people in downtown Kampala want government to address the issue of standards for Ugandan-made products in order to promote the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy. The traders say they are still importing many products that are highly taxed, thus reducing their profit margin.
The budget for the 2023-24 financial year has been read to Ugandans, and UBC interacted with traders downtown Kampala to get their views. One of the outstanding issues that traders want government to address is the issue of high taxes, especially on imported products.
I would like my government to address on the taxes, to at least reduce the taxes of the commodities that are entered in Uganda. I know there is a thing they are saying Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, but for now, the quality of Ugandan products is still low. Customers do not like it. So you find yourself forced to import so that you can make
Robert Mbazira, Senior Manager, Business Tax Advisory, concurs with the traders by saying government needs to widen the tax base such that the payment burden is not felt by the few.
There are so many people in different sectors, the landlords who own houses, the farmers who earn a lot from the produce, from selling livestock, that never pay taxes. So what government and the Revenue Authority needs to do is to widen, to ensure that they cast their net wider, as opposed to making you and me suffer more. And through that, we shall be able to collect a lot. Because when you look at our ratio of revenue collected to GDP, you can imagine it's just close to 14%. That means that there is actually a lot, there is a very bigger percentage that has not yet been involved into taxation.
They also want the issue of corruption addressed in order for the allocated funds to benefit the local people. They, however, commended government for allocating 21.7 trillion shillings to address the issue of floods and traffic congestion.
Just of recent, like yesterday, many people lost their property due to the floods. The whole of this building was flooded with water because the rain, as you can see, filled up, and then the water spread into our shops.
The people of Gulu in northern Uganda also pointed out areas where emphasis should be put.
Should emphasize on construction of the road. In most of the districts in the country, we have a very poor road. As a result of poor roads, it will bring a lot of accidents.
Having full of corruption within our country. Like, for instance, if you go to the health department, you'll find that there are so many things which are lacking. Northern Uganda now, the issue of electricity, we are even having that problem because there are some other area which is lacking even power within the city.
The national budget is an important tool for the allocation of resources, but also influences economic activity in the country. I'm Nafka Farida, under Diana Kuti.
Now, a group of NRM supporters under the umbrella body of NRM High Command marched to Nakasero State House this morning to wish President Museveni a quick recovery. The chairperson of NRM High Command Group, Juma Tinyefunza, says as part of the NRM, the president's well-being is a matter that concerns all those who are positive about transformation.
At State House in Nakasero are several posters with messages of quick recovery addressed to President Yoweri Museveni. The signposts were put up by NRM-leaning groups and individuals wishing the president a quick recovery. This followed the president's announcement that he tested positive for COVID-19.
Our beloved president, we really wish you a speedy, quick recovery.
Clad in yellow outfits, a group of NRM fans under the code name NRM High Command marched to State House Nakasero Gate to deliver their message.
NRM Oy! NRM Jew! NRM High Command Oy! Youth power!
A group headed by Juma Tinyefunza, the chairperson of the NRM Command, was this Thursday sighted at State House Gate to wish President Museveni a quick recovery.
We joined the rest of Ugandans to wish His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni a quick recovery. We really miss your vibe. We miss you, dear Jaja. We want to hear one thing from you. Just tell us that you're doing well. We just want to know that you're doing well. We are so worried. We are not.
Museveni, we pray for you. As we are here gathered, and in our ghettos we are struggling to pray hard in Aja that God heal our president.
The group was also in company of other well-wishers, including, among others, border riders.
Happy. We have come all together combined for quick recovery, and you're still in our heart forever for the security you have given us. In this service, we can move all over and transnight without any insurgency.
They called upon other well-wishers to also join in prayer for the president. The chairperson of NRM High Command Group, Juma Tinyefunza, says as NRM supporters and well-wishers of President Yoweri Museveni, his well-being is a matter of concern to them.
Gatumusabira aone mangu kubanga generation yaffe mwetaaga nnyo ate kati n'okusinga uli kuba uli twali bato kati ate tukuze tulabye ebirungi ebimulimu.
President Museveni, who tested positive for COVID-19 recently, is still under isolation and has been regularly communicating his progress through his social media platforms, especially Twitter. Susan Naung and Andrew Sebira reporting for ABC TV.
Of royal guards that were recently set free by government have set foot in Kasese district after 7 years in jail. The group received a hero's welcome by crowds chanting and dancing in excitement of receiving their relatives. Take a look.
The relatives of the Renzuru royal guards to dethroned Kasese town
to welcome the last batch that touched the ground at Rwenzori Freedom Square in Kasese district today morning. Over 62 royal guards and number were received by the resident district commissioner, who later handed them to the authority of the Rwenzori Kingdom. Speaking shortly after receiving them, the Prime Minister of the Rwenzori Kingdom thanked government for the gesture it has shown to the Rwenzori people by releasing the king and his subjects.
Our people who were in the prison for almost 7 years have all been released, except the 2 who refused to comply with our conditions. And now the Musinga is free to come and visit his people, go everywhere he wants. And all these, the ones who are brought, the 62, are now free to do whatever they want.
Muranga appealed to the subjects of Musinga in the Rwenzori Kingdom to work closely with government on issues that would foster development.
Encouraging every Munyarwenzuru to make sure that they work with the government, the existing government. There are people who believe that maybe another government will come and do miracles. But as of Singabarenzuru, we have our constitution which says we will work with the existing government.
Best Juliet Farigo, a human rights activist and expert on peace and conflict resolution, says over the last 7 years, the absence of Musinga Charles Osley Mumbere from his kingdom has retarded development in the kingdom. But she remains optimistic that with his return to the kingdom will get back to the trajectory curve of development.
We know so many things will be done hand in hand with government, so many projects that the government is running, the government of Uganda is running. We are hopeful that there will be a very good working relationship between Obusinga Rwenzori and the government of Uganda.
Jerry con! Jerry con! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch him, man! Bang Jerry con with muscle! Those ones who say go for you only. Mundava! First group is I teach you. When I'm going to the school, because of the cover that is very far. Is you serious? It's serious you. What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs. And you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru. And Umaru refused to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru, wait. Jerry card.
Okakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. His reason is to be the GOAT. The reason to imagine is to take the beat and make it lit. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Mbara and Jinja.
MTN Uganda presents Saka Free Balls, King of the East, also recognized by the Kabaka of Uganda. Palazzo in Laves on the 9th of June at the Cricket Oval. 20k ordinary, 50k VIP. Tables go for 3 million shillings. For discounted tickets, use the MTN mobile money by dialing *165 *98#. For 15k ordinary and 45k VIP. On Saturday the 10th of June, Mbara Ajip Motel. Sunday 11th of June, Fort Portal Grounds. Friday 16th of June, Luwero Grounds. Saturday 17th of June, Ginger Trans Garden. Sunday 18th of June, Mubende Stadium. Organized by Savavulu Badam. Come and witness the best concert of a new generation. Miss at your own risk. Sponsored by Pepsi Cola, Century Property Royal Estate, Mango Safari, Protea Hotel, Radio Vogue, and MTN.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Multi Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
Welcome back from the break, and we're glad that you're still with us. It's UBC News Tonight. I'm Loreen Masika Kazimoto. Now, in more news, over 10 candidates, including the son of the late Colonel Samuel Okello Engola, have expressed interest to contest for the Member of Parliament position for Oyam North. This follows the death of Colonel Samuel Okello Engola, who was shot dead by his bodyguard, Ali May. Now, the NRM Director Mobilization, Rosemary Seninde, has met NRM leaders in Oyam to discuss how they can strategize for the party to win.
The director in NRM Mobilization, Rosemary Seninde, is in Oyam district to meet NRM leaders on how to win the Oyam North Member of Parliament seat.
I want to thank the people who have, particularly the leaders who are ready to support the party, and the people who are going to vote. I want to call upon them to ensure that we support the party, because the flag bearer, the minister we lost was an NRM flag bearer, and so we need to also ensure that the person who will win this election must be an NRM flag bearer.
This follows the death of Samuel Okello Engola, who was shot dead by his bodyguard, leaving the position vacant.
Now, we have been lucky that we have been winning almost all the by-elections. Now, today, here in Oyam, where we are organizing the by-elections, as a national mobilizer of the NRM party, I have come in advance to make sure that I do the needful, I do what is required, and that will enable us to achieve our goal as a party, because our goal is nothing but winning this election.
Over 10 candidates have expressed interest for the position, and the number has made the director in NRM Mobilization, Rosemary Seninde, to meet leaders and strategize on how they can win the position massively.
To avoid this business of independence, we need to really talk to the concerned, the leaders, because they are the ones who are motivating and who are pushing many of these candidates. So I'm trying to engage all categories of leaders. I'm trying to talk to them to make them appreciate the goodness of having one candidate, and why it is important that we need to talk to the other people who must not come to confuse and divide the votes. But at the same time, I'm trying to promote the issue of unity and togetherness and cohesion, because the biggest problem we have in the party, lack of cohesion, this kind of bickerings and fighting is what is bringing us down as a party.
Fighting plans have been already released and elections
are to be conducted within 2 months, and registration of candidates is to start on the 19th to 20th of June, and elections will be held on the 7th of July. The leaders said the director's initiative is timely and it will prevent misunderstandings and divisionism within the party leaders. Leaders, however, highlighted challenges in the education sector, inadequate and not-equipped health centers, among others.
Most of the leaders that are elected normally don't perform to the expectation what they were elected for, and that has always caused us problems.
We don't have transport, we have poor roads around because this is a rainy season, so we shall have those challenges moving campaign, and the time for campaign is also small.
Among the candidates that have expressed interest to run for the Oyam South Member of Parliament is Yunus Otuk Abio of Uganda People's Congress, Omodo Omodo, Okelo Obaro Alfred, and Dr. Yunus Otuko Apio, among others. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
The acting executive director, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Rose Byanyima, has called for more resources to the institution to save road accident victims and other persons in dire need of support. This was at a press conference in Kampala. We have the details.
Mulago National Referral Hospital attends to over 120,000 road accident victims from across the country annually. A surgeon at Mulago Hospital, Dr. Kurigambo Gideon, says 80% of road accident patients come from Kampala metropolitan areas.
We have patients who have been on the ward for 6 months. 6 solid months. Then the quality of life, depending on the extent of the injury, some people never get back to where they were.
Another senior consultant surgeon at Mulago Hospital, Dr. Muhumza Michael, says there is need for more awareness creation.
If you need surgical intervention, the cost will go up to about 13.6 million shillings. Yes, 13.6 million shillings. So imagine you come, you need neurosurgery combined with orthopedic surgery combined with abdominal surgery. So you look at the cost of the specialties who are taking care of you, then the input. So it's about 13.6 million shillings per day.
Kampala, hill to hill 47 kilometers, road safety team leader Joseph Beyanga says a large proportion of Kampala road users is at risk due to reckless road use.
Issues about the road infrastructure, all that. But what about we use carefully what we have? We can make a difference.
The acting ED, Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Rose Byanyima, emphasized the need for more resources to manage the vice.
We thank government that they are giving us something, and they have added something, but we are not yet there. But we can never overemphasize that we need resources to run the hospital. And also, we should not forget the prevention. And this is why Joe Walker is here. We need to prevent road traffic accidents so that those which happen are real accidents which were unpreventable. And then the little resources we have, we can look after those ones.
The Safer Road Saved Lives Walk will continue to the United Nations Road Safety Week, themed Rethinking Mobility.
All right, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break. We return with business and more.
Dear Airtel customer, we know that there are days when unexpected stays in hospital stand in the way of your family's welfare. That is why Hospital Center is here to give you up to 100,000 shillings every night you spend in hospital. Hospital Center also offers up to 4 million in funeral benefit. Dial star 185 star 7 star 6 hash to purchase Hospital Center on Airtel Money for as little as 1,000, 3,000 or 5,000 shillings a month. Your cover for the first 1 month is free. Hospital Center is underwritten by Prudential and powered by Turaco. Prudential and Turaco are regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. Airtel Money is regulated by the Bank of Uganda.
The land take for development of Tilenga, Kingfisher and East Africa crude oil pipeline projects in Uganda is approximately 6,900 acres, with close to 10,000 project-affected persons. The compensation process involves an inclusive and participatory resettlement action plan study that provides for cash payment, physical resettlement and livelihood improvement packages for the affected persons. 90% of all the project-affected persons have been fully compensated. 200 replacement houses have been constructed and handed over. Communities are also engaged in vocational skills, agriculture, financial literacy programs, employment, and contracting opportunities to improve their livelihoods and grow community content. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda, creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey.
Are you ready to celebrate a decade of making a positive climate impact? Join us in celebrating 10 years of Tree Adoption Uganda's mission to reforest and conserve our environment on the 18th of June 2023 at Makerere University Rugby Grounds. For a decade, we have been engaging in various climate action activities, especially tree growing, as well as advocating for combined efforts to restore Uganda's ecosystem. And the results speak for themselves: healthier communities and a greener tomorrow. Join us in our anniversary celebrations and be part of the Change Run for Climate 2023. Tickets go for Uganda shillings 20,000. To participate, visit our website at www.treeadoptionuganda.org to learn more about our mission and how you can get involved. Let us continue to plant the seeds of change together with Tree Adoption Uganda.
Welcome back from that break. We're glad that you're still with us. Now into the business scene. The Uganda Revenue Authority has been urged to enhance its surveillance strategies in the upcoming financial year to combat tax evasion and expand the tax base. Economists argue that the budget of 52 trillion shillings is expected to face difficulties due to a reduction in foreign aid, necessitating increased vigilance from the country's tax authority to fill the gap. We have more.
Economists are using the prevalent issue of tax leaks and evasion as a basis to challenge the Uganda Revenue Authority's effectiveness in ensuring compliance among eligible taxpayers.
That in a way is going to help them. So through the administration, I think one of the things that they need to probably sort out is the issue of corruption, to ensure that the little that comes in, again, we don't lose it through corruption. And through that, probably they will be able to meet their target again next financial year. But there are so many people in different sectors, the landlords who own houses, the farmers who earn a lot from the produce, from selling livestock, that never pay taxes. So what government and the Revenue Authority needs to do is to widen, to ensure that they cast their net wider, as opposed to making you and me suffer more. And through that, we shall be able to collect a lot. Because when you look at our ratio of revenue collected to GDP, you can imagine it's just close to 14%. That means that there is actually a lot, there is a very bigger percentage that has not yet been involved into taxation. They just have to ensure that they bring them into the net.
So in terms of trying, and also let people know that it's good for them to pay taxes. but also URA should increase on its surveillance so that it can capture taxes more and avoid tax evasion.
In the presented budget of 52 trillion shillings, the URA is expected to contribute a minimum of 25 trillion shillings, which is relatively low compared to the expectations of foreign capital inflows. The suspension of NGOs and the recent enactment of the LGBTQ Act are anticipated to have adverse effects on budget implementation.
At sectors like health, we get ARVs. When you look at sectors like education, we've been getting aid. Now, with the impact of LGBT, some of those might get impacted, but already there is some portion in our total budget that is going to be funded by aid. So government has to be ready to ensure that we are able to absorb all those shocks. But then also, most importantly, we need to ensure that we are able to manage our fiscal policy. That is the spending and the revenue.
The high commercial interest rate and the government's significant borrowing from local sources are expected to limit investable income. This is due to the competition created between the government and investors in local commercial banks.
Government competing with the private sector, you heard of the Standard Chartered loan. That in a way means that you are already crowding out the private sector. Because the question is, if you and government went to borrow, whom do you think the commercial bank would give the loan to? Of course, they would give government because it's more reliable. For you are risky. So government needs to manage its appetite. And
in the presented budget, the introduction of an electronic services tax has been discussed in line with the country's objective of transitioning to a digital economy.
They expounded on the definition of electronic services. If you remember the previous budget, they introduced VAT on electronic services. Now they have expounded on the definition to include, for example, cab hailing. Cab hailing is like Uber. Previously, when you were using Uber, there was no VAT. Now, if you sit into an Uber car, probably to maybe Serena or UBC, they're going to charge you an extra 18%. The other are streamlining and cloud storage services. Streamlining, for example, you are using live stream, you're using YouTube, but VAT is going to be there. So ultimately, it's going to hit you hard. Some of you have been recording yourselves, live streaming. Then also we see that most of these affect people who are non-resident. They're the ones who will be charging us VAT. But ultimately, it impacts on you, the wananchi.
The 2023-2024 national budget does not propose major changes in taxes except for measures aimed at improving the management of tax exemptions and expanding the tax base without overburdening existing taxpayers. Abdul Nasir Luwama for UBC.
And now into sports. More funds for sports as the sector receives 47 billion shillings in the 2023-2024 budgetary allocation. The funds will support various sports aspects, including infrastructural development, talent identification, participation in competitions, capacity building, and gender equality initiatives. We have more details.
Uganda Sports Federation will share 47 billion shillings in the financial year 2023-2024. This comes as good news to not only athletes, but equally administrators who have toiled looking for sponsors to boost their finances. The rise to 47 billion shillings came through in the last financial year, but was affected to prioritizing sectors that were greatly affected by COVID-19. Government attributed the increase in the budget allocation to the remarkable performances of Ugandan athletes in international competitions, including the 2022 Olympics. In the allocations, football as a federation receives the lion's share as a tune of 17 billion shillings, athletics football, rugby follow. While boxing and netball have had their share reduced during the budget allocation.
Government allocated us 47.7 billion shillings, which money is meant to support sports development and international competition. And within the Ministry of Education and Sports, we have an indicative allocation of about 13 billion under the Department of Physical Education and Sports. But for other infrastructure development projects, that's the matter. If you all recall, as of now, we have the renovations of Nambole, where government is giving 97 billion shillings. We have the completion of Teriet, which is complete. We are only waiting to commission it. We have another location which is within the budget for the development of Kacheka grounds, specifically under phase 1. As of now, we are planning to go into the AFCON. We have already given in the Pamoja bid as a East African community, and that is a subject matter which we are going to begin the discussions during this financial year, heading towards 2027.
And just like other entities, financial accountability within the sports sector has been a concern, as an audit revealed discrepancies in financial reports from the National Council of Sports and leading federations.
So to me, I only want to call upon the Federation President. They must learn to account for public funds. We as the Minister of Education and Sports want to emphasize that the priority goes to the athletes. What do I mean by athletes? These are players. Even going next financial year, I have made this on once more and on that our priority is making sure that the athlete or a player is fully facilitated before getting out of Uganda. If we cannot, we have always said we rather not send a team to international competition when they are not fully facilitated. Those are the areas where we are being strict.
These findings raised questions about the sector's ability to effectively manage government funds. The allocated funds will support various aspects, including infrastructure development, talent identification, participation in competitions, capacity building, and gender equality.
Join me at 10 for our second edition of UBC News Tonight. Up next is You Health Chat with Sophia Matovu.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwao.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Professional guidance.
There is no special antiretroviral therapy that is given specifically for discordant couples.
And of course, politics.
Don't you see anywhere that you would